The latest release from Film Movement, which is a new company that I'm loving, who are dedicated to releasing definitive versions of titles that have wallowed in public domain. I don't want to say hell, let's say public domain heck. For many years in just cruddy prints and low-grade presentations, they're doing definitive releases of these films. The newest double feature Blu-ray that is out now is Roger Corman's Beast from Haunted Cave from 1959 and Ski Troop Attack from 1960. And when I say Roger Corman's, it's films produced by Roger Corman's film group company. The first film we're going to talk about is Beast from Haunted Cave from 1959. It's directed by Monte Hellman, who went on to do The Shooting and Two Lane Blacktop and Cockfighter, which is a great, despite the name and subject matter, is a seriously good movie starring Warren Oates. Stars Michael Forrest and Sheila Noonan, and written by Charles B. Griffith, who was somebody who worked with Corman quite a bit. He wrote tons of Corman and New World films. Little Shop of Horrors, if you've heard of that, Death Race 2000, and many others. So produced by Gene Corman. So I'm sorry, Roger Corman wasn't like heavily involved in Beast from Haunted Cave. It was more his brother, but he was part of the company that put it out. And so what is this movie? Beast from Haunted Cave. A group of people in a snowy mountain climb, a group of criminals, they plan a heist. They plan to rob gold bars from like a mining company's vault or something. So they create this big distraction, and they go in and they rob the heist, and they're going to lay low for a while on this mountaintop in an area that's pretty remote. And wouldn't you know, there is the titular Beast from Haunted Cave taking them out one by one. So this is a fun movie. This is a good movie that would be a late night or Saturday afternoon fodder, drive-in fodder. And it's a film I'd seen before, film we ran on my old horror host show. And it's never looked this good. It looks really good. It's really sharp, crisp black and white photography. And both of these films were shot around the same time with the same cast in the same location, making the most of what they had to use. So they were released 2 separate years, but they were made more or less like one right after the other. So technical specs. So you have GTS Master Audio 2.0 mono and Dolby Digital 2.0 mono. You can watch the theatrical or the TV version. The theatrical version is widescreen or 178 and 65 minutes. The TV version is 71 minutes and has additional scenes and is presented 4:3 or open matte. That was a common thing with the film group and some of the early Corman titles. When they would hit TV, I always remember seeing, I want to say it was Indestructible Man. I saw something that was one of these Corman titles, and it would open up, the movie would start, and it would be like the movie was already in progress. It would be some exciting scene, and then it would fade to black, and then the opening titles of the film would play, and then the film proper would play. And or sometimes they would include some deleted scenes, sometimes they would include a text crawl, they would include some other things to pad it out to that TV 90-minute slot, which was often how they would do it. So anyway, you can watch one version or the other. They both look great. It looks just so good. There's so much detail in the shots, and I always find myself in these transfers of older films, HD transfers of older films, like looking at magazine covers and newspapers and signage. I'm text that you could never read before, that is stuff from reality. It wasn't always created by the prop department. So it's just another window into the past where you're seeing a little glimpse of the reality of the world that this fiction film was shot in. So audio commentary on the theatrical version by Tom Weaver and Larry Blameyer. You get the original trailer that's 1.5 minutes. You get a 2023 recut trailer that's 1.5 minutes, and you get 53 behind the scenes stills. So Beast from Haunted Cave, not a great movie, but a fun movie if you like that early Corman film group style, and it was certainly a style of storytelling, dialogue-heavy storytelling on a budget with meager special effects to create the creature. But the creature's interesting. It's this weird, I can never remember what the creature looks like because you don't really see it very much, but it envelops people in a web, and it's all this wispy. They get into it too about how the creature was created. It's an odd kind of, I always refer to a lot of these movies as dreamlike or nightmarish, because when I was a kid, a lot of these would be showing, you'd only see them late at night on TV. When I would be staying up late and all the lights would be off in the house, and I would turn the volume all the way, because I wasn't supposed to stay up late. My parents were just like 2 rooms away down the hall. I would turn the TV down until I couldn't hear it anymore, and then go up a little at a time until I could just hear it. So I would sit close to the TV, figuring I'm kind of sneaking this movie. So a lot of times movies that are older and very quiet, black and white, and slower paced, evoke that being up super late at night vibe. So Beast from Haunted Cave is fun. It's not great, but it's fun, and it's an important part of the history of horror and exploitation independent cinema in America, and the Roger Corman story. So that's on disc 1. Disc 2 is Ski Troop Attack, which is a film I'd never seen, but is similarly a film that often works its way into public domain sets because it has that Corman connection. This was directed by Roger Corman. Stars Michael Forrest, Frank Wolff, and Wally Campo, who are in the other film on this set, and presented with DTS Master 2.0 audio, Dolby Digital 2.0 mono, 4:3 because that's how it was shot, and is 74 minutes long. It's basically a World War II story on a budget. It's a World War II story on a small budget. So it's basically, the idea is that it's World War II, and these are American commandos behind enemy lines who are on skis and have their guns, and it's a lot of gun battles and skiing and avalanche and climbing, and it's not that great. I thought it was a little dull myself, but again, it has that vibe of these film group movies that I love, and those actors and that shooting style. So it is a decent, what it was probably intended to be originally, B picture to watch after the main one or before the main one. I always think the B picture in my brain should be first. Like, you should sit through the lesser film to get to the good film, but there is also the idea of it's sort of like an after dinner mint treat where you watch the good one, you get the meat, and then afterwards the B picture is just another thing to, while away the hour before you go home or go to bed. So 74 minutes, as I said. This has a commentary by C. Courtney Joyner and Howard S. Berger. This extra is very, very cool. It's part 1. Part 2 is on another set that I'm going to be reviewing very soon of The Terror and Little Shop of Horrors. I just got it. Going to watch it like tonight. This is Hollywood Intruders, the film group story, part 1. It's a 16-minute documentary. Part 2 is on that set with The Terror and Little Shop of Horrors. And it talks about what film group was, how it came to be, this company that Roger and Gene Corman put together to create their own independent movies, independent of working with AIP, which they had been doing and would go on to do. And it's just cool. I just love the stories of Corman and these people who banded together and had a lot of talent and fostered a lot of talent and created these little films that were profitable, these little films that might not be a lot to these movies, especially in the case of Ski Troop Attack, but they played theaters. All this stuff played theaters and made money for the theater owners, and made money for the Cormans, and this tells the story of how that came to be. You get a 2023 recreated trailer and a booklet with a piece by Tom Weaver about the actor who played the Beast, which is fascinating, and C. Courtney Joyner on the war films of Roger Corman, of which there were a few. So this is the packaging. All of the this series of Film Masters double features of the Corman films have this look where you've got the sort of the key art for the original films on the front, and on the back some text and so forth, and you open it up and you get the aforementioned booklet, and this is a hefty booklet. This is like, can you tell? This is does it have a page count? This 22 pages featuring a lot of key art from the film and text and stills from the film, and it does not duplicate much, or if any, of the information that's on the discs as extras. And then you get the 2 discs. I greatly appreciate that they split these between 2 discs because Film Masters cares. In the old days, you would have had these movies jammed onto a DVD. I could be generous and say they were jammed onto a dual layer DVD. A lot of times they were not. They were heavily compressed. The copies they had didn't look good because in the world of public domain, the idea is that any copy you can get your hands on is fair game. So any transfer that's already been done, usually they were old videotape, like VHS video store era transfers that they would just reuse over and over again. Film Masters does it right. Endless praise to Film Masters. These are newly remastered 4K scans. It's not a 4K disc, but they're 4K scans from 35mm archival materials. They look great. I love having these films. I love what they're doing. I hope they're successful and they're able to keep doing these. More about Film Masters soon, but available now on Blu-ray from Film Masters is the Roger Corman Film Group double feature of Beast from Haunted Cave and Ski Troop Attack.